Okay, this is page 15 of last night's homework. I want you to think of this like a puzzle. You have to put together the pieces of the puzzle to find the answer. Remember last week I told you to start thinking in terms of part and whole relationships. So when you set up your template, and I'm going to set it up, so it's fresh in your head again, T stands for template, ratio, percent. Even if you didn't do that, set it up this way. But my template now, rather than measuring things over things, I'm simply just going to label my template part over whole. That's always going to be my template from here on out. And then you got to start taking a look at the word problem and figuring out where in the puzzle it fits. 5% of marbles. You have a percent. You have an entire ratio. Which column does it go into? The percent or the ratio column? Correct. 5 over what? Yeah, 100. You're halfway home. In a set of 120 values, it's a set of 120. Is that part or is that the whole? Now, top or bottom? That's one part of my ratio. I now have everything that I need. When you have 3 out of the 4 values, you can figure this out. Now you got to look and see where you can make a love connection. Will 100 go into 120 evenly? No. So you can't use constant. Now I'm going to look here. 5 go into 100 evenly. Times. Now you got to figure out on this side what number times 20 makes 120.
I used the constant. I did times 1.2.
And that's an advanced level. You can do that. You can. But that might be a little more difficult for others to say. Okay? Because listen, it's not that we don't have a constant. We do have a constant. Every ratio has a constant. It just may not be an even number. So it might be a little bit more difficult. So if you do that, now you, what Tristan says, you've got to figure out 5 times 1.2. You'll still get the same answer. Anyway, what times 20 makes 120? Okay. It's a puzzle. You got to assemble the pieces to find the missing piece. And I do want you to be in the habit of answering in a complete sentence, so you know what it is that you're trying to find. Okay, let's put these pieces together. Template, ratio, percent. What's my template always? Here's the end of the unit. And part over whole. That what? Where does that go? 48 to 120. Look for keywords. Do you see the word percent anywhere in there? No. So that automatic conclusion, it's got to go where in the template ratio percent. So, correct. My part is what, so my whole is, we're halfway home. Now, scan. Do we have percent? Do they give you a percent? No, so automatically you know, hey, that's what we're trying to find. But remember, the bottom's always bottom. Bottom bit. Man, 100. Now, other than Tristan, we can do this. going evenly? It's not. Guess what? Is that going evenly? What is it? 120? It's not going evenly. Now look, you can do what Tristan did and said, okay, I know to get from here to here, it's times 1.2. You could do that. Then you got to figure out what number times 1.2 makes 48. Or you got to do 48 divided by 1.2 and it gets a little crazy. Figure the easier way. What's that easier way?
Well, I took 48 over 100 and I made it to 8.
That's it. Scale it down. Okay? Scale it down. Find an equivalent ratio where the bottom part of that ratio will work with 100. So what you make it so? All right, 8/20ths is an equivalent ratio for 48 1/20ths. Now I'm just going to rewrite this part of the percent. Now can you figure this out? Times what? Times 5. And I think this is a lot easier to do 8 times 5 in your head than it is to try to figure out 48 divided by 1.2. You get the same answer. 5 times 8 you can do in your head. You got it. Say it. 40. All right, what did we try to figure out? Was it a number or a percent? What did they ask us? You got to put this in a sentence down. They, got it. And that's how you do that. All those word problems is figuring out what the answer is by plugging in the pieces of the puzzle where they belong. If you can do that, you can find that missing value. And even if you can't find missing value, but your pieces are plugged in correctly, you're halfway home, because I can help you do that. Where did we leave off yesterday? Period 3 and period 2 are in different spots. I need to know. Okay, more practice. This is now page 6. Make your TRP right away because you know you're going to need it. As always, what's your template? Raise your hand. Somebody I haven't heard from me. Jenny. Good. Okay, let's take our first VIP. Where does it go? Who wants to come up and just plug it in? Plug it in, plug it in. Sam. Marker to you. Looking good, Sammy hands. What are we trying to find? I got 4 hands up. Come on. What are we trying to find? Look at the question. What? Trying to find, Christopher. Percent. That's my unknown. But we know the bottom. 70% is a number over what number? Dylan. 100. Yes or no? Not evenly, right? Yes or no? Okay, scale it down. Scale it down. Break it in half. See if it works. If not, break it in half again. And listen, if you can get down to the value of the ratio, you'll always get it. You can find the value of the ratio 24/60th. The value has to always work. I won't say always, but it will this time. But any equivalent ratio that will go into 100 will work. That is your friend always. Did anybody break it down to a ratio with a bottom value of 10? 10 is your friend always whenever trying to make an equivalent ratio because you know it's got to go into 100. What do you got? Did you have a fraction with a denominator of 10? Who got 10? Mia, what you got? Yep, if you divide both quantities by 6, you'll have an equivalent ratio of 4 to 10. If the accuracy will certainly work. Did anybody break it down to the value? The value. Chris? 2 over 5. Either way, it's going to work. Watch. I'm going to leave it 4 to 10. Times what? Val? Times 10. No matter whether you broke this down to 4 to 10 or 2 to 5, you'll always get the same number in this box, which is 40%. And that's our answer. And I'm just writing this down so you have this at home. You find the value or an equivalent ratio that will work. Kind of jumped ahead here. Then, what do we use? Constant or multi? I'll let you get caught up. All right, then what do we use? Constant or multiplicative structure? Jordan. And we got 40% are SUVs. All right, you guys ready to work on your own? All right, so here's the deal. Let me see time-wise. You have 20 minutes, right? I'm going to give you a very specific amount of pages in which to complete between now and the bell. 7 through 9. 7, 8, and 9. And the most important page, I'm going to put a star next to it, is page 9. So if you can do 9, that really sums up almost the entire first half of this lesson. Let me write it here. Pages 7 through 9. 9 gets a star. Okay, that's a critical page. If you have key privileges, they are up here. 7, 8, and 9 are up here. If you don't have key privileges, I want to see you after every single page. If I like what I see in 7 and 8, I'll let you go, okay? But I want to kind of see how you're doing. Group up. Go for it.